the reason that you can't stick with positivity isn't because you lack discipline, but because you lack compassion. What if all the self-criticism, the I should be better by now, that voice that says, my God, what is wrong with me? What if that is actually the thing that's keeping you stuck? Listen, you can't hate yourself into healing, and you can't shame yourself into showing up differently. So while I talk all the time about positivity being a discipline, it's also requiring compassion. Compassion for yourself, especially when positivity feels far. I'm Sass, and this is Practice Your Positive Daily. And today we're talking about why compassion isn't soft, it's actually strategic. Hey there, welcome to Practice Your Positive Daily, because you gotta, or you'll go negative by default. I am Sass, energy coach, registered dietitian, Golden Gloves boxer, blah, blah, blah. Someone who learned the hard way that discipline alone isn't enough to beat you into a better mood. This show is for anyone who's been hard on themselves, and let's be real, that's most of us. Every episode, we talk about real stories, neuroscience, the training zone framework, and you walk away with a positive of the day for you to try yourself. You know we leave in action. Listen, just the last episode, I talked all about positivity as a discipline. You know I love the metaphor of training your energy just like we train our physical bodies. Do the reps, get the results. And also, today we're talking about the other side of that, because all that discipline without some compassion is actually just punishment. So let's talk about it. All right, story time. If you've been following along, you know that I lost my house 2 years in a row, back-to-back hurricanes here in Florida. And before the hurricanes, before the floods, when I had the old house, the old routine, I was an A+, 100% on it mom. Girl, I had it together. Color-coded calendar, meals planned ahead, bedtime was strict, everything was structured. We had it on lock. And you know what? Since the floods, since we lost the routine and rebuilt our lives and we're in a new space, I'm not that 100% on it mom like I used to be. Like, in some ways, I'm actually like a worse mom. Dinner sometimes is like girl dinner. Healthy, but just kind of modular. Protein, a fruit, more like snacky dinner than real dinner. Sometimes we stay up late. Sometimes I don't have it all together. And instead of judging myself for not having that discipline, I realized that I was always kind of muscling through it and not giving us the time, the space, the compassion to really feel into our everyday lives. This looked like times when I hadn't factored in that there was going to be tears that morning. We were late and I would just push us through. And now I'm much more likely to be like, hey, babe, let's talk about what's going on. You know, where are those feelings from? Like, ground her, as opposed to just pushing through. Because after going through so much of the hard stuff, I have a much deeper well of compassion for myself, for her, and just for lifing as it does. There are still days when this new life we're building is a little bit messy, and I think, this should be better. I should be more structured. I should be more positive. I should be doing better. But I'll say that my connection with my daughter is deeper now than it ever has been before, because in some ways I've pulled off that mask of discipline and efficiency and just showed up more human in compassion for her, for me, for the mess, not always like rushing us through the next performance, and really just being in the moment with her, even if it's a little bit messier. And to me, that compassion has made such a huge difference in how soft and accessible, and honestly, how more positive I can be because of it. So let me land this plane. Compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook. I'm not saying that. But it is about letting yourself be human. It's the difference between like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And it's understandable. Of course I feel that way. It's normal to feel that way. All right, 3 points on how to train your compassion to be more positive, coming straight from the training zones. You know, anymore, we ground everything in the 4 training zones: mindset, movement, expression, connection. There's more than one way to get fit. There's more than one way to get positive. So we're going to start with mindset. And I'll share that from an early age, I learned that emotions were really just kind of inconvenient, right? Crying at school, I was being dramatic. Talking back at home, oh, I had too much sex. If I was having trouble with something, then I was weak. I couldn't figure it out. And if that's like you, then over time, we stuff all that down. We smile on cue and we say, oh, I'm fine, even when we're not. There can be no space for feeling if you're always in the hustle mode to get somewhere, to get it done, to get to the next goal. The reframe for compassion is that emotions are not detours and they're not inconveniences. Emotions are information. That feeling is like a tap on the shoulder saying, hey, something matters here. Hey, pay attention. So when you feel angry, right? That's a tap on the shoulder saying like, like a boundary was crossed maybe, or sadness being like, oh, okay, well, I feel like a loss of something. Fear, that is a tap on the shoulder that says, hey, like I feel uncertain about something. And that's not a weakness, that's a signal. If you don't have compassion for your feelings along the way, you are missing out on critical information. You are just bulldozing over signs that would lead you to where you want to go for real. And if we stuff our feelings long enough, they will come out at some inconvenient time, like crying in a Nordstrom dressing room. Like, ask me how I know. So it's much smarter and safer and more strategic to allow our feelings to come up, notice what they're telling us, and then take that information as we move forward. All right, we're going to movement. We love to talk about how we feel this in our bodies. We cannot outthink overthinking. We have to tap into our bodies. And so compassion in positivity in your body, that feels like knowing that is your body telling you what your mind isn't ready to say. This is on that first date when you feel that knot in your stomach, or you get that new job offer and you feel like you're going to vomit, or right, that exhaustion that sleep just doesn't fix. That is your body's way of telling you that something is going on and you have to pay attention. If we don't pay attention to it, the body keeps the score and eventually it will betray you. Eventually you will get sick. So using movement, tapping into our bodies to feel compassion, that means listening. Movement doesn't have to be about abs or aesthetics. I say it all the time. Movement is about moving energy through your body, staying tapped into your body, getting out of your head and into your heart, into your body to move things. So this is, gentle stretching, walking, light yoga, qigong, anything that keeps you moving in your body. That is having compassion for the space that you're in and slowing down when you need to. All right. And the last training zone for treating positivity is compassion is expression. We miss this one all the time. We swallow our feelings, we swallow our truth. So training positivity like compassion means being as kind to yourself in your words and your actions as you would a loved one, right? How many of us talk to ourselves in a way, in a tone, make judgments and criticisms that we would never say to a loved one? If you had a loved one, a friend, a spouse, a child, a partner, and they were struggling, you would say that you're doing the best you can. And it's understandable that you feel that way. And of course it feels hard. Of course you feel sad. This is for now, not forever. One of my favorites. This is for now, not forever. This too shall pass. You are still worthy of love and affection and kindness, even when you are struggling, even when you're not in the space that you should be in or you want to be in. We have to treat ourselves with the same kind of compassion verbally as we would someone else. Most of us have experienced that criticizing a loved one doesn't inspire them to do better. But you know what does? Kindness, understanding, empathy, sharing your own experiences, and we can give all of that to ourselves. That is the power of expressing compassion to yourself to buoy your own positivity. All right. Positive of the day, because we leave in action is 1 point for saying it, 10 points for doing it. Positive of the day. This week, when your self-criticism starts, when you catch yourself thinking, I should be better. What's wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? Say this out loud. Say, it's understandable that I feel this way. It's understandable that I feel this way. Not, I shouldn't feel this way. Not, I need to fix this. Not anything else. Just, It's understandable that I feel this way. And see if that little bit of self-expression, compassion doesn't lighten you up a little bit. And isn't that what positivity is all about? Isn't positivity about being lighter, about feeling lighter in our everyday life? I know that is for me. And I know when I feel lighter, I make better decisions. I'm better to be around. Everything feels brighter when it's lighter. So I invite you to say, understandable that I feel this way this week, whenever you feel like you might be beating up on yourself. Listen, discipline is just one half of the coin. Without compassion, discipline is just punishment, and you can't beat yourself into having a better attitude. It just doesn't work like that. Because remember, you can't hate yourself into healing, and you can't shame yourself into showing up better, and you can't criticize your way to confidence. All of that. Real positivity requires both discipline and compassion. Right. Hit subscribe, toss me a follow, toss me a comment. I love to hear what's going on with you. This is Sass with the Practice Your Positive Daily podcast. Train your energy or go negative by default. Mwah. I love you. Keep your heart open, stay in the game, and keep practicing your positive. I will see you at practice.